Hello everybody, my name is Malcolm Clarke and I'm a film director. I have just spent the last 5 years, which is a long time, making a film about China. And so our film, which is called Better Angels, is very specifically about the Renaissance of China and the extraordinary achievements that China has made in the last 3 or 4 decades. One of the things I found was I wanted to make a film about China. I didn't realize that if I wanted to make a film about China, I had to go everywhere in the world, because China is everywhere. China is in Africa, China is in the Middle East, China is Europe, China is all over Asia. When I first came to China, one of the things I had to do was to visit several film studios around the country. It was very exciting actually for me to meet Chinese filmmakers, but I did feel that the message that Chinese filmmakers were very much of a political nature. They weren't making movies that were, I would call, very entertaining. And now, of course, that's all changed. Now, Chinese movies are being made in numbers never before seen. And they're quite interesting because there's a lot of action films, there's a lot of comedies, there's a lot of ways that Chinese movies are not just serving a political message, but are serving a kind of a social agenda and entertaining and enriching the population. I find that very exciting. Every country makes mistakes as it develops and grows stronger and more self-confident. And China is no exception. But despite missteps and false starts, it's important to remember how far China has come in the space of a few decades. Back in 1981, I saw malnourished children and real deprivation. Today, China feeds 1.3 billion people every day. I first came to China in 1981. Obviously, it was a very, very different place. In 1981, it was almost like being in the English countryside in the 19th century. It was very poor. The most profound difference, I think, to the way we see it now is that China was an extraordinarily rural country. It was an extraordinarily poor country, and it was a country which, even to my very uneducated and unchallenged kind of eyes, it was just waiting to explode. I want to make more films about China. I do think the big story of the 21st century, the big news story, maybe the biggest news story, is the rise and the renaissance of modern China, because it is going to have a significance for every single person on the planet. But it's also something which, for people in the West, it makes them anxious, it makes them worried. The Chinese are no longer what they thought the Chinese were. The Chinese are a global superpower. And I think people in the West who do not understand China fear China. And that, I think, is very regrettable. This is an extraordinary country. It's had 5,000 years of continuous culture. They have myths, they have legends, they have stories, they have so much to be proud of. And because of that, I think if we can help the Chinese and also help the rest of the world to understand what the Chinese mean, what they're doing, who they are, how they think, how they love, why they laugh. If we can break down some of those barriers, I think the world might be a more peaceful and more harmonious place. China needs to blaze its own trail and capture the imagination of the world by telling its own emotionally engaging stories that can touch people's hearts, boldly show the rest of the world what China is. And once the rest of the world realizes that we're all much more like the Chinese than we are different from them, I believe that all of those misgivings, those fears and suspicion will be replaced by admiration for everything that China has achieved and for the amazing place it has become.